Alright, this is Chris Graham here at JTech, and today we'll be doing a pre-alignment inspection. Alright, you're going to want to inspect the tires, look to see that the tread looks good on this tire. So we're going to go over to the passenger side tire. Inspect the passenger side tire. The tread on this looks good. Alright, now here we're going to go to the rear tires. As you can see, the rear tires look good. They look almost brand new. Want to check the leaf springs on the back, make sure that they're not too messed up. They look good. Want to check the rear tires. Now we're going to check the driver's side rear tires. The driver's side rear tires look good. Want to get in here and check the airbags and the leaf springs. These all look good. The back axle airbags look good. So now we're going to move on to another part of the inspection, the drive assembly, or the steering assembly, sorry. Now, a few things you're going to want to do when you're checking the steering assembly. Check the steer box, make sure there's no real leakage. Looks like you could have a little leakage down here. You're going to want to check the pitman arm, make sure it's not bent or cracked. You're going to want to check the bushings on that. The bushings are lubricated, no cracks. You're going to want to check the castle nut. The castle nut seems to be on there tight. Now you want to check the drag link. The drag link seems to be fine, no bends, no cracks. And then you're going to want to check the steering arm. The steering arm, the castle nut seems to be good on it. The bearing's good. No cracks, no bends. And while you're down here, you might as well look at the leaf springs. The leaf springs seem to be a little rusted, but they're looking all right. The U-joints are just fine. The shocks. I'm gonna want to go through and check the bushings on the shocks. And right now we're gonna take a look at the shocks. Make sure everything's tight on these. It seems to be tight. Make sure the shock looks good. It does. No, there seems to be no damage to it. Now, another thing that you might want to do when you got it pulled in, you might want to wash it off, clean all the undercarriage, make sure to spray everything off so you can get a better visual inspection of it. Now, another thing that we're going to look at in a second is the tie rod ends. So you can see the tie rod ends, and we're going to take a look at those. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the tie rod ends. The tie rod ends seem to be screwed in, they're locked in. Once it brightens up, there seems to be no gappage in between there. You're going to want to shake the tie rod in. There seems to be no movement in the tie rod end. Make sure everything's tightened down. Seems to be nice and tight. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the other side and inspect the other side. Alright, now here we are on the passenger side. There's a little less to inspect because there's no steer column and steer assembly. So we're going to go through and look at the leaf springs. Make sure those are nice and tight. Make sure the U-joints are nice and tight on this. And we're going to want to inspect the end play, which all you're going to do for that is pull the tire and see if you really get any movement. There's not really any movement in the air, so there's no real need right now to jack it up. Now, there's no real need to jack it up right now. But if you felt excessive end play, what you'd want to do is you jack the front of the truck up, put some jack stands under it, take a dial indicator, and you put it you'd put the dial indicator on the U joint, and you'd put the measurement tool right here. Now, to measure, and you could also measure the bearing if you felt excessive wobble. You'd have to remove this, and then you'd get to the bearing, and then you'd put the dial indicator here and the measurement tool directly on the bearing. Now the last thing we're going to do for this inspection, alright, now we're in the cab, and what you're going to want to do is check the upper part of the steering column. You're going to want to check the U-joints right here. Make sure it turns. Make sure that the bearing's obviously not locked up. If it turns, the bearing would obviously not be locked up. Now, we're going to step inside the cab and check the steering wheel. Make sure the steering wheel doesn't move too far forward or backwards, too far side to side. Make sure the wheel is centered, which it seems to be centered. And that would be a pre-alignment inspection. Hope to see y'all again next time. This is Chris Graham, signing off.